Welcome to another session of the Happy Friday Committee, Happy Friday Mindset. The Happy Friday Mindset deals with 6 principles, which is being fearless, resilient, intuitive, determined, appreciative, and youthful. Today we have Mr. Quansa McCullough, who is a school teacher who teaches the 9th grade. And I wanted to frame this in the context of a student coming to you and having problems with schoolwork and things of that nature. And I just wanted to start with the word fearless. What would you tell them being fearless in tackling school?
I would tell them that, fear is a natural feeling. You're supposed to, feel fear. It's supposed to, bring you to aware of the things that could possibly be a threat. So first thing you want to do is you want to acknowledge the fear. Sometimes we say, if I don't acknowledge that it's there, then it doesn't exist. But it's very important that you acknowledge the fear and then gauge the fear, go to the fear and say, hey, is this something that I should be afraid of? There's something I should be cautious of. If so, then pay more attention to it. If not, then you have to, kind of put it in the area where you don't register it as fear anymore, but you have to be mindful that it still exists.
Wow.
So if we had a kid that was afraid of, not being able to fit in, then as a teacher, we would give that kid skills, or we would show that kids certain things that they can do to make themselves, seem like they could fit into a group. Or we would tell them, hey, there's already groups that exist. You may not know about them groups. You know what I'm saying? Wow. You may not be aware of those groups that exist that share the same qualities, the same characteristics that you share. But because you haven't been active, or because you haven't been out there actively searching these groups, you wouldn't be aware that they're out there. So fear is a real thing. I have fear. You have fear. The students obviously have fear, especially coming from an environment where they're in the 8th grade and they're like the kings of the school, and then they graduate, and then now they're like at the bottom of the totem pole again, 9th grade. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You were the guys of the school, and now you're not the guys of the school when you get to high school. So 9th grade is a very interesting period because they're transitioning from like middle school, which is like hormones, which is like I feel this and I don't want you looking at me, and why is the world picking on me, to high school, to where do I belong? What do I belong in this world? And so high school is interesting of teaching that, because these are the kids that we're asking to pay for our retirement. These are the kids that we're asking to go into the workforce, that are actually kind of be deemed essential workers. You know what I'm saying? So you can have fear, but you have to know how to work with the fear.
Yes, sir. So having fear, working with the fear. Remember, I'm a 9th grade student, or just a student in general. I work with my fear, and I work past my fear. I start studying. I study, and I'm still failing my test, which is based on, I'm framing this within being resilient. How do I bounce back from, if I continue to fail?
Right.
How do I bounce back from that?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Coming from a occupation where we do a lot of testing to gauge, a lot of data collection to figure out where you at, where are you at in this so-called scheme of things? Where are you at? Produce to me results of what you've learned, what you have attained. And so when you get into a situation where you are studying and you working hard, and you still aren't seeing results, maybe it's time to switch it up.
Wow.
Maybe it's time to or maybe it's time for you to realize that maybe this is not your area, but you still can put your best to it. See, we have students that are A students, we have students that are B students, we have students that are C students too, right?
Yeah.
But they're still students.
Wow.
Right? They're still actively learning. Some can master and retain more than others. But say if you're good at math, do you have to be good in all your subjects? Not necessarily, right? So you pick which one is good for you and what you feel comfortable with. But just try your best. If you try your best, then sometimes people will meet you and do the rest for you.
Mm.
Like if I see a kid that is struggling, like I know this kid is turning in work on time, this kid is studying, this kid is working really hard, they're putting extra work, and they still get like 74s and 73s and all that. I tell that kid, I say, hey, look, science may not be your subject. Science may not be something you want to go into,
Yes, sir.
right? But you have mastered your work ethic though.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like you know how to work though. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. You may not be able to be the brightest or the best public speaker out there, or you may not be the best person to turn over some change on the cash register, break down the cash register at night. You know what I'm saying? You may be a person who can see visions. You may be a person who can talk to people and calm them down. And I think that's what high school is all about, trying to figure out where you fit at. You know what I'm saying? And so when you talk about resiliency, hey, in order for you to find out where you fit at, you got to keep trying. You know what I'm saying? Like if you take a little kid, a 3-year-old, and you give them like one of those toys where they have like blocks and they got to put it in the right hole before they go in.
Yeah.
They keep pegging at it, keep pegging it, pegging it, pegging it, pegging it until eventually it goes in that hole. And then once you get it, it's complete. You at rest. You're like, okay, all right. Well, this may not be something I want to try next time. You know what I'm saying? But at least I can say I did this and I attempted it. And I know this is something that I don't want to do. But knowing what you don't want to do is getting you closer to knowing what you want to do.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I like that.
Right.
I like
right.
that.
So I can't even complain. People will be like, but we throw a question out there in the classroom and the kids like everybody's giving the wrong answers, but what they're doing is making it closer to the right answer. Somebody's the right answer because they know they're not going to say that same wrong answer over and over again, right? You say 2 + 2 is 4, and somebody says, "Oh no, it's 3," and we keep saying it's 3 and it's 3 and it's 3 and it's 3. Eventually, people are gonna be like, "Okay, it can't be 3, so we can't say there's 3 anymore. Let's get to the right answer. What is it?" 4. Right there.
I like that. I like
that. You gotta keep banging, man. I think that's what life is all about. I think when we were kids, we didn't come out walking and talking. We had to crawl. We had to fall.
Yes, sir.
So I think being resilient is just keep going at it until you eventually break through. And that's what life's all about.
So knowing that, and you spoke on something, keep on trying, and I found in that when you said keep trying, following my intuition. And I was going to ask you the question anyway, as far as I'm a student and I don't know my purpose here. I follow my intuition. I don't know. After I graduate, I don't know where to go.
Right.
How do I follow my intuition in terms of how do I know my purpose?
Oh man, this is crazy because right now in high school and middle school, we're dealing with like a high number of suicide rates. Kids are feeling like their world is not panning out the way they expected it to be, and so they feel like it'd be better for them to take their lives. Right? It's like I forgot how they say it, but it's a simple solution to a problem.
Yes, sir.
To everlasting problem. Okay, I'm going to kill myself and rid myself of this, but you don't understand. You leave behind your parents, you leave behind friends, and so this is a big deal that we have in middle school. Kids not feeling that they belong. So I always tell them from a science perspective, we got to break it down.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So when let's say this is two married couples. Okay, when two married couples are having sex, this is allowed. You know what I'm saying? This is what God wants. You know what I'm saying? To procreate, and they're having sex, and the man has an ejaculation. Right, that's 1 million sperms that come out. 1 million sperms. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of sperm. And to think of a child that is born from that million sperms, that means you are literally 1 in 1 million. You are one to that egg. You know what I'm saying? You were one. And then for you to go through all the processes of having a baby within the 9-10 months of creating a baby and being able to come through and come to a life and be healthy, be born, you are 1 in 1 million. And so when you are literally 1 in 1 million, You have to realize that there's a purpose for you. You are supposed to be here. If the tree ain't bearing no fruit, we cut the tree down.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if I got an orange tree in my front yard, I'm from Florida, and we know we're known for growing oranges, and my tree ain't growing no oranges, I cut it down.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I think the importance about cutting it down is it's taking away nutrients from all my other trees that are viable around here. So
Yes,
if I got a fig tree and I got a grape tree, grapevine, or I got some other type of tree, lemon tree, and my orange tree is not bearing fruit, it's taking away nutrients from my living trees.
yes, sir.
And so, hey, God said, if it ain't bearing fruit, cut it out.
Yes,
But
sir.
if you're alive and you're here on earth, you're bearing fruit. You're here. You're one in a million. You're supposed to be here. You have a purpose. Now, all about finding your purpose is, I think it comes with being resilient, you know what I'm saying, and being and leading into being determined. You know, have to keep knocking at it. You know, if you like something, do it. If you don't like something, don't do it. If you're trying to do things to gain people's approval, that's probably not the right thing you should be doing. You
Yes,
should
sir.
be doing things that mean things to you. I always tell my kids, look in the mirror. That person in the mirror that's looking back at you, that's the number one person in your life.
Mm.
That's the one you got to take care of. Because in middle school and high school, we're worried about, oh, am I going to be the coolest kid? Are my muscles big enough? Am I cute enough? Am I the most athletic kid? You know, we have all these things we put in, these accolades and that we put into yearbooks, but it doesn't really help these kids figure out what they want to do as far as purpose and having a plan after school. So I think this starts in the home. You know, what are we telling our kids in the home? You know, you're supposed to be here. You are going to be great. You're going to do great things. You're going to go on and do bring respect to this family name. And
Mm.
so I think that the thing about this purpose is really something that has to be fortified in the home. It has to be something that's fortified because when you get out there in the world, people are going to tell you something otherwise. Like if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, Jason did this, he did that," and I'm not there.
Mm.
I'm not there, but I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, that brother didn't do that because I know that brother. I know that brother character, and because that brother also has purpose, right? You know, when you know you have purpose, you don't make uh, reckless mistakes. You don't make reckless decisions. Everything is
Wow,
calculated.
I was just telling somebody that. I
Yeah,
was
you
just
don't.
telling.
Yeah, when you know you have a purpose, you don't go out here and waste your time in the things that's not going to benefit you in the future. You know, everything is calculated when you have a purpose, and so I think that's the number one thing. I think all of us search for a purpose, but I think, and I know everybody has a purpose. It's just sometimes people are not willing to deal with that purpose. You
So
know,
leading into intuition, well, leaving from intuition into determination, which you just answered,
right.
continuing to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm determined um, to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do I show appreciation? Because you just answered the word on being determined.
Right.
How do I show appreciation once it's said and done?
Well, man, I just recently got like we had graduation. This happens every year. We have kids that graduate, and depending on how much work you put into that kid, that's how much appreciation you get back from that kid. And I used to always worry about when I was a teacher when I was young and I ain't had no kids, you know, I wasn't married or anything like that. I was like, what's gonna be my legacy? You know, if I die tonight, uh, what are they gonna say about Mr. McCullough? What are they gonna say about Mr. Mack? And it's all in your legacy. You don't have to have kids to have legacy. I think that's the problem. We think that if we have kids, pass on last name. No, the legacy is in the deeds that you do.
Hmm.
You know, if people see the deeds that you do, and they pick up your plight, they pick up what you were doing once you've gone on, then your legacy continues on. I'll give you an example. So I got this girl that I've been teaching. You know, I taught her in the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and then she went on. I didn't see her for a couple of years because I was still in middle school, and then I went to high school, and then I got there, and I taught her 11th grade year, but then she graduated this year.
Mm-hmm.
So she sent me like this long page on Facebook, just saying how I always believed in her and how I, always, took time to talk to her and give her advice and all that. man, that means a lot.
Mm.
That's the appreciation that you get for putting in the work. And so by putting in the work and having a legacy, or having somebody know what your work is about and projecting that out to the world, that's your appreciation right there. People being able to mention your name, people being able to defend your name for the good,
Wow.
is appreciation. Like I say, if I go out here and I get a DUI in the news, oh, it's gonna be on the front page, because it's not
Yes, sir.
out of my character. It's out of my character. People are
Yeah,
like, look,
yeah.
oh, we got a good guy, and we finally got him doing something he's not supposed to be doing.
Yes, sir.
Right. That's what they're looking for. But if I'm doing good things, which I'm known for doing, the appreciation is in the legacy and all the good deeds that I do. That's how I feel.
So showing that appreciation. Next is youthful. And I want to frame that in the way of, I'm a graduate, just graduated from high school. And now the real world hits me after I get done with college and everything else. The real world hits me.
Right.
Like bills and everything else.
Yeah.
Right. Family, everything else. How do I remain youthful? How do
you remain youthful? Ooh. I think you always got to see the positivity in things. Even when you're having a bad day. And in high school, it's about a lot of relationships. They may not be good relationships, but they want to get into relationships. They want to be a part of something, And so we'll see these frivolous relationships where these guys will get with these girls, and these girls will get with these guys, and it'll be like a 2-week relationship. That's how the relationships work in high school. Like, when take the box, yes or no, you know what I'm saying? Yes, I go with you to the dance or whatever, right? And then when you see these kids acting like this, and you realize, you like, you know what, these relationships aren't going to last, but it's practice for what you will have in the future. Being youthful is really practicing things that you did as a youth and continuing to do those things. My class, man, we'll cut up. We'll have some time. We'll just play some music. We'll sing. Just remaining positive and doing things out of your character. I think people expect for you to be a professional. So if I'm a professional, I come in there with a wig on. That's out of my character. You know what I'm saying? You know what? You crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this other day, you was bald. And I'm like, I still am bald, but I got a wig on today. You know what I'm saying? So being able to laugh at yourself and being able to not take yourself too serious is a great trait. Because it's harder for people to break your shell, or it's harder for people to insult you, or to call you out of your character if you remain youthful. If you have a little bit of play in you, you're like, man, you hating on me? You really hating on me? Like, I really consume most of your day that you got to think about ways to make me feel bad about myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? So even with my wife, we'll have, you're gonna have disagreements in relationships. And when I see, like, we're getting ready to have an argument or a disagreement, I try my best to make a joke, you know what I'm saying? Because I can be like, hey, you want to have an argument with me right now? And so, it could either get a little more serious, or it could just stop the argument, a disagreement. Yes, so remaining youthful is very important, and it's very important for your soul and your heart. When you're, I know for me, when my kids see me act the way they act, they don't think that their dad is 45 years old. You know what I'm saying? They they think their dad got all the energy in the world. And the truth isn't it isn't that by far, but the idea of me being able to have an opportunity to be able to like, not kind of code switch, but be able to go in and out of being youthful whenever I need it, is very advantageous to being able to have a positive environment at your house.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to switch in and out of being youthful. And I think that's why we gravitate towards our friends that are very youthful. Because even if we're not feeling youthful, we can go around them and it's contagious, and then we start feeling it. Yeah. So it's very important for you to have and to maintain and know where it is, to be able to just go in and out of being youthful and not to take yourself serious. I think you look at the people who are like 109 years old, man, they'll tell you the secret to being on this earth is being youthful and being happy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
okay, so I'm gonna leave you with this. A couple of years ago, we had 2 jars of rice.
Uh-huh.
And on the rice, on one jar of rice, we put good rice, and on the other rice, we put bad rice. And every morning before class, we would say all these good affirmations to the good rice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're beautiful rice, you the whitest rice I ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God, the boiling of water was just done you so much tremendously. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go to the negative, and then we'll say, you know, you the driest rice we've ever seen. You're nasty, you dirty, you know, all this kind of stuff we would say to it. And then after a week's time, you would see how the bad rice, we say all these bad things to this rice, start mildewing and start decomping and breaking down.
Yeah.
And then you looked on the other side, we had a positive rice. You were saying all these positive attributes to this rice, and this rice was still flourishing. You know, it wasn't breaking down, it wasn't decomping or anything like that. And so it's powers in your words, it's powers in our thoughts. Like we don't want to admit it, but we can change everything that happens to us, good and bad. And so it's powers in your thoughts. But so if you're remaining youthful, I don't remember like babies and kids always saying anything that's bad. You know, they say brutally honest things, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, kid would be like, man, your breast thing. You be like, hey, chill, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
mama and daddy, I gotta go doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? Like they say the most truthful things. So I think with being youthful, there's so many advantages of being youthful. You don't have to be disrespectful to be youthful, and you don't have to be immature to be youthful. But in order for you to be youthful, you have to be truthful. Because that's one thing about kids, man. When they let you know, boy, they be like, hey, you know, I don't like so and so. And you be like, why you don't like so and so? Because they got a bad spirit. But how do you know that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So remaining youthful can keep you alive and keep you out of bad situations. So it's very important for you to be able to jump in and out of being youthful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last and final question. Out of these principles, being fearless, resilient, intuitive, determined, appreciative, and youthful, which principle sticks out to you the most and why?
Jay, man, that's so hard, man, because I feel like I embody all of them. But I think the one that really helps me out the most is being youthful. You know, I think you know, people will be like, is this man doing this right now? Is he, you know, is he doing this right now? And I think it kind of plays into who I am as a person. Even for this interview, I was like, man, what kind of props I got to wear for the interview?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want props. All that stuff is in the classroom. But I mean, you know, I think that's what, you know, what people gravitate towards. You know, people don't want to gravitate towards negative people unless they're trying to be negative themselves, you know, or unless they're trying to be miserable themselves. But people usually gravitate towards people who are, you know, positive, you know, and have like a little bit of youthful, you know, attitudes towards themselves. That's who I want to be around. So I think youthful has a lot to do with who Quansa is today. And,
Yes, sir.
what makes up, you know, the things that I like to do. Even when I see you, when we first came on, I start smiling because, man, I remember how we were in our youth, and I remember how far we've gone, the maturation process, the growth. And I think it's important that we realize that we were youthful at one point in time, because we can always go back to that memory whenever whatever's going through. You can go back to the memory and be like, yeah, you know, I did have a little bit of fun here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
did with the turn up for a little bit. You know
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Even in that turn up, he still has given us, you know, the ability to still be here and be servants for him. So, because you can't take that for granted. He's allowing us to be here. So, I'm very thankful for that, and that allows me to be youthful.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, I
Yeah,
want
man.
to thank you for coming on, brother.
Oh man, I appreciate it, bro.
Doing this.
I'm looking to do many more too, bro. That's
Absolutely, absolutely,
awesome.
absolutely. And I thank you for doing this, and I know this is definitely going to help a lot of people. As I always say, it is everybody who's participated in the Happy Friday committee. You know, you're doing a great work. So appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Be blessed, brother. You take care.